After 5 years of war, it's almost impossible to determine the exact number of victims. Added to the casualties caused by the conflict are all those who have died at home: pregnant women, people with cardiovascular diseases, children who should have been vaccinated. Because the past 5 years of war have also been 5 years of attacks on the provision of healthcare. Doctors thrown into jail, patients arrested in their hospital beds, medical centres bombed.
On a fait la médiation entre les médecins syriens avec qui on collaborait en 2011 notamment et le grand public en rapportant ce que eux ils nous racontent sur la situation humanitaire et situation médicale dans les zones tenues par l'opposition. Ces médecins en 2011 déjà, ils ont commencé à raconter comment ils arrivent à travailler très difficilement et d'une façon clandestine pour pouvoir soigner des patients qui avaient été blessés lors des manifestations.
Having failed to obtain authorization from the government to work in the country, MSF teams opened in 2012 6 hospitals and 5 outpatient health centres in areas controlled by opposition groups. And in places MSF couldn't access, it set up a support network for Syrian doctors, providing them with drugs and medical supplies. But after the abduction in 2014 of several staff members by so-called Islamic State, almost all the international teams were pulled out of Syria. Unable to obtain guarantees regarding the safety of its teams, MSF is now forced to limit its assistance to providing remote support from neighbouring countries to Syrian doctors, whose work has become even more dangerous than ever.
La situation s'est encore une fois dégradée en 2015 et c'est le cas c'est les 3 premiers mois de l'année 2016 avec l'intensification des bombardements de l'aviation russe et syrienne depuis octobre 2015. Donc la situation sanitaire est encore plus catastrophique qu'avant. Selon nos informations, en 2015, 63 hôpitaux avaient été bombardés et partiellement ou entièrement détruits par l'aviation de la coalition syrienne essentiellement.
Given how impossible it's become to deliver medical aid, many doctors have fled the country, especially the Idlib and Aleppo regions that are the target of particularly heavy bombing.
We were risking our lives and we knew they could attack us at any moment. Many of my doctor friends who used to work with me in Aleppo have been killed.
The situation is even worse in towns under siege like Madaya. Despite the intense media coverage of the humanitarian convoys, their inhabitants continue to starve to death. It's estimated that as many as 1.5 to 2 million people are living in areas besieged either by the government or opposition groups.
Les populations d'abord ont peur d'aller dans les structures de santé parce qu'ils sont systématiquement ciblés et même s'ils ont le courage d'y aller, ils sont souvent pas traités parce qu'il n'y a pas le médicament nécessaire pour prendre en charge des patients qui ont des problèmes cardiaques, qui ont des problèmes respiratoires comme l'asthme, qui ont des problèmes comme le diabète. Donc même des simples maladies comme la diarrhée par exemple, aujourd'hui ces maladies ne sont pas traitées correctement dans les zones assiégées faute de médicaments.
Confronted with all this, Syrians who can try and leave the country at the first available opportunity. More than 100,000 people are amassed along the Turkish and Jordanian borders, but these borders remain closed. Two-thirds of Syrian refugees in Jordan subsist below the poverty line. Their only source of income is often poorly paid, undeclared work that barely covers the cost of food and rent. Medical care and children's education aren't the main concern. This family arrived in Jordan in November 2012. Just one of their children attends school.
As Ma and Khalil haven't gone to school yet because we constantly have to move from one house to another. And there was no space for them in school. The school is overcrowded. Every day they go outside and play in the street with a ball for an hour or so. This is their daily life. their daily routine.
مع بعضهم أو بالطابة شوية وهاي حياتهم روتينية يوميا.
Haunted by memories of Syria, Khalil is being helped by a psychologist from Médecins Sans Frontières. Fear, nightmares and aggression are the primary symptoms of the 169 patients receiving treatment. Among them are children and teenagers who have seen their loved ones die, their homes destroyed, their families scattered. These people still have far to go to find a country where they'll be able to settle. But for now, their journey is halted by the barbed wire facing them in Idomeni.
The European countries, they have to take their responsibilities and to perhaps for the first time since 1 year to take a common decision in order to solve the situation and to find a really clear options for the refugees.
Now only Syrians and Iraqis are officially allowed to cross the border. But the Macedonian authorities let in just a few hundred people a day, leaving the others in a state of exhaustion to wait it out in appalling conditions. In its medical centre there, Médecins Sans Frontières teams are tending to people who are increasingly exhausted and increasingly vulnerable.
She told us her foot has been like this since she walked through Turkey in the snow for a week. They had a piece of paper with them, a health card describing the first medical consultation she had with our MSF colleagues on the island of Samos.
34,000 people are trapped in Greece, yet the country can accommodate only 3,000. This is an emergency that Greece can't manage without help from its neighbours.